In this video we are going to repair this Pioneer DJM 850, and we have distortion and crackle on channels 1 and 2, but it's not on any of the controls or the faders. It's actually as the audio is coming in to the mixer, and we will test this by using the USB inputs on here, running something like Tractor or Serato, which actually bypasses those preamps, and we see that it works. And then I use the schematics from the service manual to find the chip that's at fault, and we'll replace it. I'm not going to go through the disassembly of this because it's just too long and boring, so we're just going to jump into the part where I've already taken most of it apart. I'm going to do the testing and then put it back together. So we are testing the channels on this mixer, and we've got an input coming in to channel 2, which has got the bad sound, and currently coming into the CD and the line in. And I've already tested a few things, like I ruled out that it's not the channel faders, and we also have the laptop set up using the USB input so that we can bypass the actual preamps for the line inputs. So first of all, let's play with the CD line source, which has the bad sound, and we're recording the sound out of the mixer so that I can play it back in good quality as well. So this is a track that was just a free use track called Days Like These, and that's LAKEY Inspired. I'll put a link in the description. So like I say, we'll put the recording on the track, but you can hear it has a distortion, like a farty kind of sort of noise. If I turn the track down, it's still there. It's there without the EQ. It's also present in the headphones. So that's the fault that we have, and this is the same on channels 1 and channels 2. So now let's play this using the USB input. So I have the same track, we connect it up to channel 2 via the USB input. So that's roughly the same level on the input meter, and you can instantly hear that there's no distortion at all. So my testing up to this point made me realize that this has to be the preamp stage on the input board, because everything on the USB channel is working. So that must mean that the top board with the EQ and the gain is okay. So we're going to replace those preamps on the input board with some new ones that I brought from Mauser. It's actually a discontinued part, so I brought quite a few of them, and I've already swapped the good ones from channel 4 over to channel 1 to prove that this was the actual fault. But I've got to swap the channel 2 ones over because they're still faulty, and I've got to put new ones on channel 4. So that is what we're going to do in the remainder of this video. So this board, the input board, DWX3362 on the DJM 850. I'm just going to remove these cables. And then there's the nut on the jack, there's the screws for the MIDI, and then there's a screw in each one of the RCAs, and then there's the nuts for the return. So once those are all out, that just lifts out. So this is the input board, and it's channel 1 and channel 4, and those two chips are the Phono preamp chips. So channel 1, channel 2, channel 3 and channel 4, it's these chips that we're looking to replace. You can see that I've taken those off there and I've moved them to there, and they're dual input operational op amps, and they're switchable. So the input comes in from the line and the phono. The line input goes through the circuitry to those. The phono circuitry comes in through that and then is amplified to the same level as the line input. And then the dual op amp selects the output from the line or the phono. On channel 2, it doesn't have the phono input, so that's just line and CD. So they're both the same levels, but they're still selected on those op amps just there. So we're going to use the hot air rework station to remove these chips and then put new ones on. Okay, I have Amtech's BGA rework flux, some good solder, my tweezers, the TS100. The first thing I'm going to do is put some flux on. And then some fresh solder. And then using the hot air station, going to heat up those chips and pop them off. And we need to be very careful that we don't put too much heat on, because these boards will bubble and rise up. So just heating around the area, and I've got my tweezers ready, and I'm just like wiggling the chip until I feel that it's coming loose, and then we want to take the hot air station away so that we're not applying too much heat. And then a little bit more solder just to clean that area up. And we're ready to put the new chips on. We can see the circle where for the orientation of the new chips. And if we look at the new chip, we have the matching circle. So just heat up the area again. Did you see that pop? That was because I had the heat on too long. Okay, so they're on the right way and they look lined up. So now a little bit more flux. And then a touch up with some solder. Hopefully my head's not in the way. Let's turn it around. So there's the two new chips on, and let's just do the channel 4 where I took the others off. Okay, so that's the new chips put on. Now we need to clean up our flux. So first of all, I have some PCB cleaning solution from my ultrasonic cleaner. So we'll just use that to clean up the flux. And then we'll clean up that with some IPA. And then dry off the board. Okay, I'm just going to give this a quick visual inspection off camera. Okay, they look good. So now let's put it back in and do another test. So it's just a quick reassemble. I don't want to reassemble the whole thing only to find out that it's not fixed. Just enough to hold everything in place. Right, I get everything else plugged back in and we'll do the audio test. We've got the same audio source as before. We have the recorder set up to record the output from the mixer. I'm going to do the CD line in on channel 2, and then I'll also test channel 4 where we put those new preamps on, and where we go. So it's powered up, that's always good. So we're recording the output. So there we can hear same source coming in on CD input on channel 2, and it's no longer distorted. So changing those chips has fixed our initial problem. Let's just plug that into the line inputs. So the line input is also okay. So the first 2 chips that we changed are working okay. Now let's do the line input on channel 4. Channel 4 also sounds good. So I'm pretty happy with that. We've sorted the distortion out on channel 2 by replacing those dual input op amps, and this mixer can now be put back together and tested again over a period of time to make sure that everything else is okay. But I'm pretty happy that the initial problem of the distortion on channels 1 and 2 has now been fixed.